for this gift of peace. I have given you all the prayer for peace that St. Francis of Assisi prayed many years ago. And I wonder, he must have felt the need what we feel today to pray for. I think you have all got a paper with you. We'll say it together. Lord, make me a channel of your peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by forgetting self that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. God loved the world so much that he gave his son, and he gave him to a virgin, the Blessed Virgin Mary. And she, the moment he came in her life, went in haste to give him to others. And what did she do there? She did the work of the handmaid. Just serve. Just spread that joy of loving through service. And Jesus Christ loved you and loved me, and he gave his life for us. And as if that was not enough for him, he kept on saying, love as I have loved you, as I love you now. And how do we have to love? To love in the giving. For he gave his life for us. And he keeps on giving. And he keeps on giving right here, everywhere, in our own lives and in the lives of others. It was not enough for him to die for us. He wanted that we loved one another, that we see him in each other. That's why he said, blessed are the clean of heart, for they shall see God. And to make sure that we understand what he means, he said that the hour of death, we are going to be judged on what we have been to the poor, to the hungry, the naked, the homeless. And he makes himself that hungry one, that naked one, that homeless one, not only hungry for bread, but hungry for love. Not only naked for a piece of cloth, but naked with of that human dignity. Not only homeless for a room to live, but homeless for that being forgotten, being unloved, uncared, being nobody to nobody. Having forgotten what is human love, what is human touch, what is to be loved by somebody. And he says, whatever you did, the least of these my brethren, you did it to me. It is so beautiful for us to become holy through this love. For holiness is not the luxury of the few. It is a simple duty for each one of us. And through this love, we can become holy. through this love for one another. And today, when I have received this award, I personally am most unworthy. And I, having a vow of poverty, to be able to understand the poor, I choose the poverty of our poor people. But I am grateful and I'm very happy to receive it in the name of the hungry, of the naked, of the homeless, of the crippled, of the blind, of the lepers, of all those people who feel unwanted, unloved, uncared, throwaway of the society, people who have become a burden to the society and are shunned by everybody. In their name, I accept the award. And I'm sure this award is going to bring an understanding love between the rich and the poor. And this is what Jesus has insisted so much. That's why Jesus came on earth, to proclaim the good news to the poor. And through this award, and through all of us gathered here together, we are wanting to proclaim the good news to the poor, that God loves them, that we love them, that they are somebody to us, that they too have been created by the same loving hand of God, to love and to be loved. Our poor people are great people, are very lovable people. They don't need our pity and sympathy. They need our understanding love. They need our respect. They need that we treat them with dignity. And I think this is the greatest poverty that we experience, that we have in front of them, who may be dying for a piece of bread, but they die with such dignity. I never forget when I brought a man from the street. He was covered with maggots. His face was the only place that was clean. And yet that man, when we brought him to our home for the dying, he said just one sentence: I have lived like an animal in the street, but I am going to die like an angel, love and care. And he died beautifully. He went home to God. For death is nothing but going home to God. And he, having enjoyed that love, that being wanted, that being loved, being somebody to somebody at the last moment, brought that joy in his life. And I feel one thing I want to share with you all. The greatest destroyer of peace today is the cry of the innocent, unborn child. For if a mother can murder her own child in her own womb, what is left for you and for me to kill each other? Even in the scripture, it is written, even if mother could forget her child, I will not forget you. I have curved you in the palm of my hand. Even if mother could forget. But today, millions of unborn children are being killed. And we say nothing. In the newspapers, you read numbers of this one, of that one being killed, this being this one. But nobody speaks of the millions of little ones who have been conceived with the same life as you and I, with the life of God. And we say nothing. We allow it. To me, the nations who have legalized abortion, they are the poorest nation. They are afraid of little one They are afraid of the unborn child. And the child must die because they don't want to feed one more child, to educate one more child. The child must die. And here I ask you, in the name of these little ones, for it was that unborn child that recognized the presence of Jesus when Mary came to visit Elizabeth, her cousin. As we read in the gospel, the moment Mary came into the house, the little one in the womb of his mother leaped with joy, recognized the Prince of Peace. And so today, let us here make a strong resolution. We are going to save every little child, every unborn child, give them a chance to be born. And what we are doing, we are fighting abortion by adoption.
Hello everyone, I'm Joshua William Gelb and welcome to the Theater in Quarantine. It's Friday, December 18th and it's 9 o'clock here in New York City. Thank you for tuning in and joining me for a special encore performance of I Am Sending You the Sacred Face by Heather Christian. It's been a little over 8 months now since I converted the closet in my East Village apartment, measuring 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall and only 2 feet deep, into the white box digital performance laboratory we call Theater in Quarantine. With co-creative director Katie Rose McLaughlin, we've been expanding our roster of collaborators and working with some incredible institutional supporters like La Mama, Culture Hub, the Invisible Dog Art Center, and of course tonight's co-presenter, Theater Mitu. We developed tonight's performance as part of Theater Mitu's expansion works, which is an ongoing program to create space for artists to work across disciplines and incubate alternative modes of artistic inquiry. This is an opportunity for Theater Mitu to invite and involve their community into the process of experimentation and to actively engage audiences to interrogate how we define theater and how we best share and articulate stories of our time. Now, we've been so thrilled to be a part of this program and are so thankful to Theater Mitu for their support and collaboration. The performance tonight runs about 40 minutes, and afterwards I'll be hanging around with a couple of the collaborators to discuss the process of making the show. I'm not exactly sure who's going to show up just yet, but we'll be sure to answer any questions you might have, so be sure to drop them in the chat. Also, Heather's music will sound even more magical if you listen on headphones, so grab some if you've got them. Now below, in the description, you'll find a link to our Fractured Atlas page, where you can make a donation to Theater in Quarantine. A Fractured Atlas is actually in the middle of an end-of-year match campaign, so anything you contribute to us that's $100 or less, Fractured Atlas has promised to match. All donations will go directly to support Theater in Quarantine, as well as tonight's collaborators, so please consider helping support this work and the artists who make this work possible. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we are so close to meeting our 1,000 subscriber goal. And if you subscribe, we keep all of our performances archived, so you'll be able to catch whatever you've missed and whatever's to come. One final reminder that what you're about to see is live. It's not a film or a pre-taped broadcast. This is happening right now, in a closet, in my apartment, as my neighbors can likely confirm for you. So let's get started. I'm going to take a brief 1-minute break so I can get into places and so you can put on your headphones. Thank you again, and enjoy I am sending you the sacred face.
Open patent taten taking open pa. 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 Open patent taten taking open pa.
Desires are mosquitoes, not bites. That sorry you want will also cost you braces. Somewhere we're taught we lose ourselves when we lose the things we like. Then we repeated it until we proved them right. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes. So I only speak for me as I am in the world, not of it to choose poverty, we love it for its clarity. I like my rotten vulgar, I delight in days of hunger. I like patching over my old two-saris. I wear shoes that do not fit me. Stink and sweat, refuse a fan, a phone, a TV. Praise my lousy bed and head and hall and company. To work on poverty, to me you must be poor. My commonality with those I serve gives dignity and equal at their eye. They come to us to die with the dignity of friendship, with an uncontested equal. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes.
Open patent taten taking open pa.
You say the poor like they're one thing, like they're a theory and a herd and not a people that outnumber you, not individual lives with crazy stories, moms and uncles, similar struggles, same intentions, different means. How many people have you alchemized to numbers? How many voices did you mute behind the comfort of your screen? Poverty is not a plague, it was not sent by God, but engineered by human systems. He won't fix it, that's your job. Oh, poverty's no plague, it was not nature who bestowed it, but our selfish raised ambitions that will bother God and works authority. Poverty's no plague, it's not a thing that simply happened. It is ours and every second that continues passing while you are not offering your hand. Yes, your real hand is a waste of time. And time is unforgiving. So time is not like God, they say. nihil habitans et omnia possidentis. The message of my life. That was it. It would be rude and misleading of me not to start with that. To do otherwise would be bad dramaturgy, as that is the message here painted on the outside of this vessel. Yes, vessel. This is a well-made vessel, custom built to relay that message to you. The reason you got it was not because I thought it, but because I became it with theatrics.
Be the change you wish to see in the world as a kind of drag. The outfit matters.
But just so we are clear, it was not posturing. I truly believe this message to be objectively true. Poverty is an exalted state. I treat the poor with dignity as befits this exalted state. From a religious perspective, the poor are closer to wisdom. I do not treat the poor with dignity out of pity or compassion. I treat them with dignity as an act of reverence. The poor are not just equal to you. From a religious perspective, they're better. Now, I was not born poor. I chose it along with this outfit. There is symbolism in the outfit, always. Some people call that marketing. You remember me when you see this outfit. And what do you remember? Me, the person? No. My dreams. You remember my dreams. This outfit affords me that kind of subliminal messaging. It's a teeny tiny phone call to a surfing synapses in your brain. Hello. Now there is additional symbolism in the outfit, which I will enumerate here. Faith is the inner tunic and is a brilliant white, the brilliant white of teeth, of the smile. This is a white so brilliant it is supposed to put out the eyes of the intellect, which is fabulous. Now over this white tunic of faith one puts this blue trim, this blue coat of mail. Blue is hope, by which one is defended, see, and also liberated from the thing that it ultimately represents, the world. More on that later. Blue hope is an armor and covers the whole body top to tail with no openings save for a little visor which allows the soul only to look heavenward and nowhere else. More on that later. Now over the white and over the blue as a finishing touch, one puts on the precious robe. This is charity. This is what everybody sees when they see you after being blinded by your smile. This is what you drag down the street. This is both the drag and what is drug. Yes? Now, let's talk about calls. I experienced a call when I was quite a young girl. My first call, that is. Which is the call to be a nun. This is an understated call. An intuition laced with a desire. Most nuns and monks you speak to will tell you something similar, like a phone in your heart. The phone's in your heart with this kind of call, yes? The second call I received was different. This was a phone in my face. This was an actual voice in my face that I received when I was truly not expecting it. On a train. The voice of someone who did not sound at all like anyone I'd ever met and was urgent. This was an urgent phone call from inside my face that I received while riding a train, and this was the call that got us here tonight. Me from wherever the heck I am, and you from wherever the heck you are. Somehow, serendipitously, in the same place. This is where it started. He said,
Your heart was never drowned in sorrow as my mother's.
I said, I stand with the mother. I dress as your mother dressed and perform her always. He said,
Will you not show me?
I said, I will show you like this. I stand with the mother, as the mother, all right always. I promised him as such. That promise is a cup that I fill with my work and my love and my minutes.
Go now to the poor.
This conversation frightened
Go
me.
now to the poor.
God was testy. This is what was hard to bear. God did not make requests of me, he dared. And when I paused,
Will you not?
like a child who's been neglected toward the dry arms of his father.
Won't you go ahead and try me? Will you not?
Not will you, not can you, not may you,
Will you not?
not won't you, but
You probably will not.
I did try to stop the thoughts. I tried to be in silence. I could not. It came on booming. In a train car to Darjeeling.
Will you not?
Then every morning after, as a panic in my
Go
memory.
now. Go now, go quickly. Will you not?
What is asked is just as natural as it is
Will you
supernatural.
not?
The voice lives in two places at once. In the train car at 80 miles an hour, impossible.
Will you not?
And in the traveling space between the drums of my ears, as love made ghost, made clear, and argumentative.
Go now to the poor. Why do you not?
I say my answer lies with priests who know much better.
Then you won't.
Was this my first act of cowardice? I am too young to decide. Is obedience cowardice?
Every day you do not leave passes in darkness. 100 passed in agony today. Will you not?
Ultimately, the church would not consent till I could promise it success. But what is this success? What is success in matters of the hopeless?
What now?
So let me go, I said, tormented. Success is just a silly word that you invented. My doubt lived as an oily film on a well of my conviction.
Hurry,
Deep
hurry,
enough
hurry.
to where no skiff could drop an anchor. My doubt floats at the top, but all the same pollutes the water.
Forgo caution, child. Will
When
you
God
not?
asks for things, people are careful about
Hurry,
details.
hurry,
When
hurry.
society asks for things, they are done quickly.
Forgo caution, child. Will you not?
This thirst is infinite. This
Will you
is
not?
a thirst I rush to put out
Will you
like
not?
a trillion fires in a
Will you not?
thousand neighborhoods. I can't find them all in time. Quenching won't be possible.
Don't let that ease your mind. Just because it is untenable does not mean that it's not your calling. Will you now?
Okay,
Now.
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 okay.
Now.
And in the beginning you are fame. God has spoken to you through a telephone in your face. But a soul canoe don't float. A soul canoe don't float. If you want divine perspective, you got to get up out the boat. Don't you strain at your brother's neck and then swallow your own camel. Don't you claim that your brother's white with a soul that's still a gamble. You will know you're a beginner if your rapture is a show. If you're public and you're pleased not to let everybody know. So it's not nice to be suffered, not to punish you, but bolster both your real legs to the parapet. If your remains on a bright trapeze, God will reduce the net. There is competition, even in virtue. I will not hide from you that I have had my share of wanting to be the best at something. I was proud of my humility in the beginning. Are you? I ask that without an agenda, as we are 2 songs in now, so we are officially friends. Be the change you wish to see in the world is a kind of drag. I already said that. What I wanted to see more of in the world was humility. So, I became that change in order to fulfill my wish of seeing it. For most folks, humility is pretty unappealing. For one thing, you only get humility by acquiring humiliations. Nobody likes that, except for me. I accept humiliations. I am grateful for them. I call them my sweetie sweets. My smile is a cloak, not a coat. It doesn't keep me warm, but covered. It doesn't protect me, but you. It's a part of the outfit. And furthermore, it doesn't interfere with humility. I just wanted to be a nun, really. Ordered, submissive. I never wanted to be a leader. being a leader requires a certain level of belief in oneself, which is a whisper's breath from pride, which is a different kind of cloak, one that protects me and not you. And I wouldn't abandon anyone like that. Abandonment is an awful poverty. Abandonment is what I call a second wound. The first wound is a given. You will be wounded in this life, but the second wound is one that comes just after it and lasts a very long time. That second wound is a wound of no one was concerned. I was wounded in the first place. I'm telling you this so that you can do your best to make sure that you aren't opening these second wounds anymore. Anyways, in the end, I wasn't taught the reality of feeling unloved and unwanted by others. I was taught that by God. But patched clothes are no disgrace. It's the same with spirits. Is loving your system the same thing as loving your breakfast? Don't answer that.
If you get the voice, you get it once. The voice has other ports of entry after that. Did you know, girl, when you heard it, it would never speak again? That it would leave you iron flat against its silence.
Being the change you wish to see in the world is kind of a drag. My soul is out of its onesie, isn't coddled, is big enough to be put down, weaned, made to eat a bread with a crust. That is St. John's explanation for this silence. And now my soul is exposed, it is ready, prone to oxidation and a forceful gust of wind. And there are raptures and transports, a dislocation of the bones. I annihilate myself and strike this room of everything that was not part of the vessel. I'm the manger, I'm the cup, and I am ready. I am empty, 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 I am empty. divided in their own webs, attacked by stronger giants, while they patch their robes with wash rags or rub ashes into paper cuts. I annihilate myself and strike this Rome of everything that was not part of the vessel. I'm the manger, I'm the cup, and I am ready. I am empty, 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 I am empty.
Saints do not practice self-care. We practice self-annihilation. If I was to publish The Idiot's Guide to Self-Annihilation, it would be short and likely not your favorite book. It would go like this. Page 1. First item. Seek out some suffering and then appreciate it when it shows up. It is hard to explain this to a modern person, this want of suffering. You cannot look at it with what you call your right mind. But without suffering, the work we do is social work, which is good and fine and helpful, but nothing to do with your soul, in my opinion. Anyway, the work is not yours. Page 2. This would be a blank page, followed by another blank page. And then there would be a page where I drew a single marigold. I really like the reminder of a marigold. They're named for Mary, you know, who is a true example of watching and feeling and continuing to stand upright. She blooms unseasonably. Where am I? Page 5. The second item. Once you have located your suffering, give a purpose to it. Give it to someone. You got no one to suffer for? Alright, suffer for me. Imagine that every time you lose your breath, or you cry out in pain, that it is an offering in a lunchbox of my energy, and I collect it through the air. And this is how I go on. Because of you. Your suffering has value. Anyway, the work is still not yours. That's the whole book, guys. I don't want to see my face anymore. It's a thing I use. It's not part of me, really. I don't want your candles. I don't want your stuff. If it's not abundantly clear, I am keeping this room vacant in expectation of... Well, anyway, he won't come unless the room is spotless. Excuse me. Hello?
Good morning and God bless you. Is this Mother Teresa?
Yes, I suppose it is.
This is an automated telephone survey. Is very official as to the nature of the progress within your calling. Please press 1 to comply. Welcome. Please answer the following questions with brutal honesty in order that we may fully assist you with your current station. Question 1. Do I really receive Holy Communion with faith and love?
No.
Question 3. Do I value the salvation of my soul?
I don't have one. There's nothing in me.
What are the dangerous occasions of mortal sin to which I am exposed?
My eyes.
Are what?
Dangerous.
Because of the distraction from
Because
God.
of the Exactly.
Working. Thank you. Do I desire to be poor with Christ's poor?
With my whole heart. I am not humble, but I am too small to be proud. I pray fervently to be forgotten, to be ignored, to be nothing to anyone. And this is how my prayer has been answered. Why are you laughing? Anyway, I do keep on saying the same prayer.
Do I avoid trying to shine in front of others?
I don't understand that question.
Do I accept desolation as ready as consolation? Do I accept dryness in prayer as a grace of God?
No, nothing inside of me.
Is there anything you would like to add, Mother Teresa?
Tell him I'm sorry. Ask him to give me the face of a smiling child.
Why is that my job?
Because he doesn't speak directly to me anymore. Hello? Hello? In a marriage, some things are kept private, kept even from the children. I cannot explain this part to you, so why unload the cart? I am undefended, I live undefended. The only shield I've got now is my quiet, and that isn't for myself. May my promise be a chalice I can pour into it, lots of things like minutes, like sweat, but not thoughts, 'cause thoughts are of the self. And I am emptying the cup of myself. I am undefended, I live undefended. The only shield I've got now is my smile, but I don't give that to myself. Tell you, let's just see what happens when a modern woman gives herself completely to be a blank space. Will it keep her on her knees to see what's emptied from the cup of herself? A cup by nature won't track what it spills. A cup has two states, filling and emptying. I am in service, I have no actions of my own. One might say I was purified of human alloy. One might say I was ready to enter the deep things of God. One might say I was terribly unkind to myself. One might say I was unable to look at the whole picture. One might say I was never able to understand the whole picture. I have given myself to the small, to the one life at a time, for the one last breath and its qualities. I am undefended, I live undefended. I smile at this cardboard box that's getting filled with all kinds of important things, big things I do not understand. It's a veritable box of treasures, and the plainness of the box won't mean it cannot bear the weight. I always said, if they ever tried to canonize me, I would want to be known as a patron saint of darkness. That I would not take my reward in heaven if it turned out that heaven was in fact a meritocracy. I said I would stick behind here. No thank you. I would stay, to be a friend to those who also go through this. And as luck would have it, here I am, behind the bookcase of reality. And I have kept my promise to you. That's pretty wild. And one must observe from this vantage point
that the living world is in fact a peach. Is the fleshy, peachy peach part, sure, has worms, also has a fuzz, has rind. And that rind is the peach's container. And maybe that rind is actually divinity, and we are here in between the two. Isn't that marvelous? Oh well. I did not do a very good job of giving you a biography. It's all quite sentimental, actually, in retrospect. And sentimentality is disordered. I abstain from it. Oh no. Oh, we're wrapping up. Wait, but I just realized I have a lot to say, actually, as it turns out. These are medieval dramatics, aren't they? My particular darkness was a medieval darkness done to a modern woman, so it was quite a show. Suffice it to say, I am an expert on this niche subject matter, and I am here to be the mother of your house. For anyone who's had a particularly hard go of it and thirsts for understanding, for the care of an older woman who loves you and has been there and has anecdotes. Child, think about where you were a year ago. Okay.
This is not a trial by fire, this is renovation by fire. Fire. Fire, when applied to wood, dehydrates it and turns it black and brittle, makes it ugly, makes it sink. But the wood, if submerged now, wouldn't sink. 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 This isn't a trial by fire, this is renovation by fire.
Everyone is called to be a saint. We have, compatible technologies, but we prefer different uses, to put it lightly. Furthermore,
drying out the wood expels these dark and ugly accidents contrary to the fire. Fire turns the wood into itself in a task without desire. Makes it then perform its action, so the wood is dry and dry, so the wood is hot and heats. Fire changes all it eats into itself. You are lighter and light. You are brighter than before. 'Cause it is not a test by fire. This is not a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire. This isn't a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire. This is not a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire. This isn't a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire.
we will not be able to talk about this when we emerge. So let's hold on to it now. We are beholding an object never before seen in itself or in its likeness, so we won't describe it well. And even if we could, God would hold our tongues. Or physics would screw around with the math. Because unlocking the divine mysteries means you have to unfix your brain and step outside of time. And when you step outside of time, we won't be able to talk. Simple as that. Grammar is temporal. All you'll be able to say is, like, do you perchance know the paths of the great clouds or the perfect sciences? And you'll go, everything is a miracle, yes? It's a miracle that one does not dissolve in one's bath like a lump of sugar. Wisdom is an abyss. Love has a simpler science. Not all is lost. Your prayer will be short if you understand that. Oh God. That's it. That's all you get. Oh God. The earth shook and trembled. Your way is in the sea, and your paths are in many waters, and as such, your footsteps will be washed quite away. And when I say I'll smile for you anyway, it costs me, it's an offering. A symbol works best when you put it in the room. The fact that I actually lived does not make me less of a parable.
Sabat mater dolorosa juxta crucem lacrimosa dum pendebat filius quius animam gementem contrit statam et dolentem per transivit gladius Sancta Mater
And when your new soul arrives on the doorstep of the new world, don't be like the children of Israel in the desert, who when they were given manna craved onions from before the war. Let yourself get unused to how it was. The night will wipe your memory if you let it. Let it. We will not be going back.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I'm Joshua William Gelb. This is Theater in Quarantine you just watched. I am sending you The Sacred Face by Heather Kristen. So thrilled to have you all here. It's our closing night. This was the first time we've ever done a run. We usually just do 2 performances on every other Monday, but we're about to start expanding to an every 3-week schedule. So we thought, let's try doing 2 on Monday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Friday. We're so glad we did. So glad to have you tonight. Again, if you can subscribe, I think, it's possible we're over 1,000 right now. Who knows? We were so close. We're trying to get over 1,000 tonight. So if you subscribe, you'll keep learning about all the work we're doing, and we've got some really exciting stuff coming up in the winter spring. I'm also going to bring in some of the collaborators. I have no idea who it's going to be, though. They'll just all be in a Zoom room someplace. So let's see if I can get hold of them. And if you have any questions about the piece, about the process of making this piece, feel free to just throw them in the chat, and then we will answer them for you. As I said, please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. And if you haven't checked out some of our other work, we have so many videos. We've been doing this since March. We started with some pre-recorded work, but then very quickly moved to live. And that's really been our focus, is live performance in the digital space. All right, I think I'm joining a room. Oh my goodness, I see that I am joined. Well, I'll introduce them in a second as soon as I've got everything connected correctly. This is wonderful. So let's do that correctly. Let me get my headphones. No, let's not go with those headphones. I was having headphone trouble again. It's always headphone trouble, All right, we'll go with these headphones. These are broken, but nonetheless, they'll serve this function. And here we are. Great. And so here we're gonna have, let me adjust this because this is ridiculous. There we go. We'll center it. Katie Rose, would you mind saying hello?
Hello.
Perfect. So we have got everything working. Let me just adjust this, throw it into performance mode so that we can get a better stream. But it is all working. Hi there. So we have the composer and writer and creator of I Am Sending You the Sacred Face, Heather Christian. And we also have the co-creative director of Theater in Quarantine and the choreographer of I Am Sending You the Sacred Face, Katie Rose McLaughlin. So would you mind saying hey and maybe kicking things off? I don't know if you've been scrolling through the chats, but I would love to grab a little something and maybe a chair. So.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Grab Dino!
Introduce Dino. I'll be back. And
Dino is our drag dramaturg. Also, I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Light bulbs, all of it.
Oh, wow. Even better than I thought. It was great when it was just a polka dotted shirt. Welcome, friends. Hi. I'm looking through the comments, which are just amazing and just so much love. So I just want to say that there's so many amazings, bravos. I like the Madeline says, wow, 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 wow. I'm looking for a question. Oh, here's a question. Was any of the text taken from interviews with Mother Teresa?
Hi. Yes, not interviews per se, but a lot of the text was taken from her private writings. Mother Teresa was a fastidious journaler, and she wrote quite a lot of letters. Like, she was writing letters every single day her whole life for hours a day. And her private writings were just released. So a lot of the text came from those private writings. And then there are some lines that I've stolen from like sound bites of Mother Teresa, the sayings that we all know and love, and have ended up as Instagram memes. Some of those things are in the show as well. But a great deal of it came from her private writings.
I've got a chipped flute. I have to go get an unchipped flute.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Hold for flute.
I was very worried. I have a chipped tooth from all those.
It wouldn't surprise me. We were just showing the video of Josh getting hit in the head by the TV in the closet.
We're going old school.
Just this afternoon. Ooh, those are my favorite champagne glasses.
Yeah, the wider ones.
It's very Katharine Hepburn.
Thank you. Also, there were Whitmans on sale at Duane Reade when I had to get my gold bombs. So I had to. Oh no! If there's a chocolate sampler on sale, I'm getting that. Okay, that's just a rule of mine. So hi.
Hi.
Hey, Dino.
Good job, Josh.
Yes. You're done, my love.
We did it.
That was a smooth one.
That was smooth. It felt smooth. So that was great. Yeah. Closing night energy. But yeah, feeling good. Jean Lou is our makeup artist who's been here with me. Usually we don't have anyone, but I think we learned very quickly during this process that since I'm getting all the tech set up and getting all of the scenic work set up, trying to put on my makeup, and let's be honest, learn how to put on my makeup too, because that was itself a process that we did try, would have taken too long, unfortunately, particularly on Monday where we had to do a turnover in like an hour. So ultimately, Jean has been with me and has been wonderful. And on Wednesday, we had some technical difficulties at the top of the show. Let's see if I can do this without putting my eye out. There we go. And
didn't make any
we all backed up.
I know, it's kind of anticlimactic. Yeah. But suffice it to say, Jean has been wonderful and had to intervene because we had a lot of tech issues. But today, very smooth, which is lovely. So sometimes the spirits of streaming actually are in our favor. Cheers to all of you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations on this lovely run. So proud to have been a part of it, and thank you. Thank you.
Me too.
Answering questions now. Let's do it. Are there questions? I see one that says question.
Yeah.
From Annie. Annie says, was any of the lighting controlled remotely? Indeed, it was. I have a dimmer pack, a very tiny Optima, I think, 4 dimmers that goes right into my QLab. And I'm running everything off of, I have a 2-computer setup. I have a Mac Pro, old school 2014 Warhorse MacBook Pro, or Mac Pro, that then is streaming or sending all the data and information to my MacBook. And that is where I stream from. So on the Mac Pro, though, I have QLab and Isadora. And Isadora does all of our video processing. I'll do all those tricks. And QLab basically is the conductor of everything. It does all of our sound, but it also like cues Isadora, and it also cues our lighting. And so we do all of our lighting there. And I have, barely anything. But, between the ring light and my soft boxes, and I've got this clip light. That's really the extent of our plot. So that's the beast. Anything else?
Yeah, Kate asks how, I think it's Kate and Mo, ask how many people can watch this after today?
That's a good question. Everyone can watch it after today. So yeah, we've recorded every single and streamed every single performance. All of them will be available online. We'll probably pick the best of them and kind of edit it down. We'll edit out this talk and we'll just put that in the Theater in Quarantine playlist with everything else. And so that is what we'll do. And who knows? I don't know which one to pick, actually. So that's a big...
I think second show Monday.
Second show Monday. Interesting. There we go. All right.
That was the one where I leapt out of my chair and screamed work to a vacant room.
There was a lot of... What do you...
What did Josh do? There was a moment when I didn't see that one.
It was the ring light, the freaking ring light.
Oh, yeah.
Fell over.
Oh, yeah.
You you were like, oh crap. And you fixed it. And then you just nailed it with face. It was so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes the best ones are when a little something goes wrong. Just the right something.
Yeah.
And you were on fire from that moment on.
Oh,
The rest of the show was just on fire.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the one where the tinsel was with the fan, though.
That's the one where the tinsel's with the fan as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one strand of tinsel
that
got caught on the fan and just kept smacking me in the face anytime I fanned myself. It was great.
Yeah.
So that is to say that, everyone will be able to watch this. It'll be available for free on the channel in the archive from here on in. So, that's. But you were all here to see it live. And I think that's what's really exciting, and that's why I'm so grateful to have all of you here. Whoa! Oh, wow. It's like everything just loaded for me.
It's sort of amazing.
Boy.
Can I ask another one?
Yeah. Oh.
Sophie Sam says, love that you've all created something brilliant that could only happen online like this. How has the tech process evolved from when you all started earlier this year to this show?
Wow. Well, we've gotten better at it, a little more efficient. So we rehearse on Zoom. As I said, we do all the video processing in Isadora. So what we are able to do, and I can't show you right now because I'm streaming, but what we are able to do is give the audience the view that you have right now. We are able to input that through a virtual camera into Zoom so that the collaborative team is able to watch the show. And we basically tech all the time. Our rehearsal process is a process of tech. And I say that in a really, I think some people can see tech as a drag, but it's really the only way to see the work. And it's really invigorating to be working with all of the elements and problem solving with all of the elements, and being able to build off of what is at our disposal, right? Anyway, in terms of the process, you know, we're only getting more and more complicated with the work we're doing. You know, when it was very early, it was mostly me just doing video work, and I am just learning these programs. But now, of course, we're bringing in some really wonderful designers who are like Stivo, who did the video on this one.
And also Theater Mitu, who has been like really, really involved with helping us get all the tech sort of set up. And Justin, co-artistic director of Theater Mitu, he basically taught you how to use Izzy, right?
Yeah, he taught me. Stivo taught Justin, so that's how it's a chain of mentorship. But I'm interested in hearing about the tech process from the newcomers as well. And I guess tech process is rehearsal process, so the process.
As theater artists yourselves, how did it feel to be working in this particular
and
sort
how did
of
it
environment?
compare to what you know from the before times?
I mean, it's different. It's a completely different thing. I thought I was going to hate it. I was pretty sure I was going to hate it. I in a violent act of self-care, I cleared out that entire week that we were teching of like, I'm just going to have to sleep and watch bad TV this whole week in order to get over doing this tedious thing. This was the most fun I've had this year, period. I haven't belly laughed like this because it's also like there's a little Three Stooges show and like slapstick comedy routine going on in every single one of these boxes. Because everybody's like thinking on the fly, thinking in the moment. This is also one of the most, I said this before in one of our other talkbacks, but this is the most democratic room that I've ever been a part of in my life. Every single person is a multi-hyphenate, so everyone is contributing not just inside of their field, but outside of it too. So we're all just a bunch of 10-year-old kids in a sandbox. It sounds really cliche, but like this felt more like that than any actual room that I've been in. And maybe that's because I'm officially insane because I've been locked inside my house for 9 months. But this was... I really liked it. I really want to do it again. I really want to write a sequel.
Yes, please. Yeah, I mean, to tag on to that, like the moment when Crit, the designer, was like, Josh, you need to do this.
Yeah.
You need to hit the walls with your index fingers. I was like, this is amazing. Because everyone had like costume ideas and choreographic ideas and design ideas. It was the flow of this group was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our titles, but it's all just really like a bunch of, you know, smart people in the room just having fun and ultimately you know, trying to make something impossible in an extraordinarily short amount of time.
Yes.
Two questions remaining. What? Oh, no, Dino, go ahead.
I have to say that KR and I both have a favorite thing that you do, speaking of Three Stooges, which is that sometimes you'll just get all like flustered and you're like walking back and forth in your actual apartment like a person should do. And you're probably like in your dress and you just like do a cross. You're like not thinking about the fact that you're on camera and all. It always makes me laugh so hard. One of his crosses. Yeah, because you're like doing like 400 things at the same time.
And you have a bunch of people in your apartment.
No.
And that was one of the things I noticed tonight. I was like, oh, he's both like, he has to be aware of these like technical things that are probably like put him in his brain and in his fingers. And then he has to like perform full body, full out, like a dancer. It's like insane that you can do both of those things.
I mean, it's, you know, it's, but like puzzle solving, you know, that's what's kind of fun about it. And it's just different ways of exercising the brain and the body. And that's kind of a delight, I guess. Oh my gosh, I still have. Wow, I got through the whole show with both of my
I was
eyelashes
going to say, you look fantastic.
Yeah, did you wipe off any of your makeup?
I'm doing Rose's turn afterwards. I'm going to put all the tinsel on and just do Rose's turn.
For me,
while you decorate the tinsel monster.
This was a good.
Good.
We have so many questions.
Yeah, we should answer some questions. 2 questions, question from Annie. Was any of the... We did that already. We already
answered both of those questions. We answered both of those already.
Oh, we did all those already. Sorry.
Yeah.
Annie. Oh yeah, we have so many questions. All from Catherine Brooke, a favorite and a regular in the chat. Heather, did you write this all for this particular show, or is this a project you were already working on?
I wrote this all for this particular show. I approached Katie Rose and Josh in late August or early September. Josh put out a Facebook APB and he was like, "We want to do a musical." Mm-hmm. And I was bored. And I didn't want to work on the things that I was supposed to be working on. So they met with me, and I have a spreadsheet on my computer, which is all either ideas that I've had that it's my orphan ideas. They're like ideas that won't sustain a full 2-hour long production, or they're ideas that I think are like nobody's going to want to produce, or, they're just shows that I haven't started yet. And I just took them my whole list. And of the list, they got excited about the item that was literally Mother Teresa: the musical. So after we decided on that, I spent like a month and a half or 2 months just reading and doing research, and then wrote the libretto and music lickety split in a couple months, and then recorded it. And we've been tweaking it since we got into rehearsal. I feel like that's where the thing really came together, is once, people were actually listening to the thing. But yes, so it was made spec. It was made quickly. I had a lot of fun. Couldn't overthink it. And
the music was pre-recorded, right?
What do you mean?
Well, we have a question from Elizabeth. Was the music pre-recorded or also live? It was amazing.
Oh yes, pre-recorded. Pre-recorded. One of the first things we decided was that we were not going to attempt to do music live at the same time as video, because that would have taken the entire tech time to figure out. Unfortunately, we've made a lot of strides in terms of syncability with other mediums, but with music, if it's a hair off, we're done.
Yep.
And I haven't found a technology that works yet. So that's where we are. I pre-recorded it like a CD.
Yep.
And then you lip synced like a genius.
And Merlin, another favorite. Merlin, so it was recorded. And then I have that track in ear. So yeah, basically I'm feeding myself the whole show about 0.5 seconds before it appears, which is how I'm able to sync up with Heather. So that's what I'm doing in terms of the lip sync. I'm sorry, I have it 0.5 seconds and in real time. And that way I'm able to know exactly where it lands. I was kind of off a little bit today. I was feeling it too much. So I wasn't hearing it.
Director on directing.
Yeah, Yeah, stop feeling it and just say the line. Just say the line that you're receiving 0.5 seconds before the line is being said.
You look amazing right now.
As Stanislavski once said.
You should give a lot of amazing advice in this situation.
Oh yeah. Let's keep this going, Josh.
I'm taking a picture of you right now.
This feels like old school theater in quarantine talkback, where I would just get trashed.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Heather, Mary? Oh my gosh, that's so good. Oh, I'm smiling.
Oh,
there you go. There. Oh, that's a good picture.
Wow, there's a lot going on in that picture.
I was very proud the day that I was like, oh, Josh and Drag is like Klaus Nomi. Edith Piaf. It's like the exact like love child
Yes.
of those people.
Every time I close all the windows on my computer, those are the two pictures that pop up. And the first thing I think is, Josh! Oh.
No, just his parents.
Well, speaking of, Mary calls her Mama T. Oh, I love that. Speaking of drag, Heather, what gave you the idea of doing Mama T in drag?
Well, it was sort of two-pronged. I was making something for theater in quarantine, so I knew that it had to be done by Josh. So I went looking for a reason for it to be in drag, and found one very quickly. If you peruse Mother Teresa's private writings, you start to understand pretty quickly that the way that she identifies internally is not necessarily the way that we think about her at all. Although she has a great reverence and respect for her persona, she doesn't necessarily feel like she's responsible for it. It's sort of like this avatar that flew out of her spirit, like her spirit like flew out of her body and like made this persona. And she finds that she can acknowledge that that persona is helpful to people, that that persona is beautiful, that that persona gets the work done. That persona has an energy source all to itself. But she inside of her own body feels like this nubbin that's like lost and confused in this darkness, and is kind of amazed and delighted that the persona can get so much work done. So I felt like there was a similar relationship here. I have had the great fortune to perform alongside some of my favorite drag queens for a very long time. And that alchemy that takes place on a stage when, like, my friend who I've been chilling with in Carhartts, like, all of a sudden appears as this like immaculate creature. There's a certain kind of alchemy that happens on a stage where something similar is happening. That persona has a power source all of its own. It is not completely divorced from the person, but it's not, it's not separate. It's not totally married. It's not multiple personality disorder, but it's something special and different and holy. So that's why.
Well, I mean, we did talk very briefly, champagne. We very briefly about bringing in other performers. Now, of course, similar to what Heather was talking about with musicians, to do that is like an extreme leap of technology in some ways, particularly trying to synchronize with the musical tracks. But so that would have maybe been different. I think it was really right at that moment where we decided, no, we're going to try it with Josh and maybe multiples of Josh, that we ended up talking about drag dramaturgy a lot. And Heather, of course, you were particularly insistent.
I was.
And then we brought in Dino. So talk to us about how drag and KR, Fernando has an amazing question about choreography. It's coming to you, but I wanted to also hit Michael's question about drag dramaturg, since it seemed to segue nicely. But Heather, talk a bit about why a drag dramaturg, and then Dito, what is a drag dramaturg?
I invented this position, but why everybody asks about it, because I invented it. I am not a drag performer. I wrote this piece as a love letter to the drag community, but I am not a drag performer, so I don't understand implicitly like what goes into this kind of performance, what this like medium in itself, like what the rules are, how far can you stretch it, how much can you break without the whole thing falling apart, what are ways that I can like put Easter eggs into the piece that make it more of a love letter. We needed insider information. And I am drag approximate. That wasn't good enough. So I insisted that we bring on board a drag dramaturg, and one of the like highlights of my life is that Dino is free and could do it. And came in and doulaed this piece, and you go now.
I am also very happy that I was like tucking into my Thanksgiving dinner, and I got an email.
Really?
And I was like, don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone during Thanksgiving. No, it wasn't. No, it was around Thanksgiving though that Heather emailed me, and I was like, this sounds very exciting, because I'm a weird drag queen. So the idea that it was like going to pull from things that are maybe like middle of the road. I don't know. There's so many kinds of drag in the world, but I was like, oh, the fact that this is like a lip sync drag performance, but it's also about Mother Teresa, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Because I like things that don't make sense at first glance. Yeah, and then I was like thinking back. I'm so glad you kind of made a little reel of the behind the scenes, like some of our rehearsals, because I was like, what did I help accomplish here? And I remember being like, oh my God, don't put anything on top of his skin. That was one of my contributions. I was like, just the dress and then the sari. That's all. And then I remember teaching you to like kick the train of your dress forward. And always like, so I was like, I guess I taught him like technical things that are kind of important.
Yeah, I mean, I could say now, of course, as Heather like just said, I have no experience with drag myself. You know, the closest, yeah, that's I have no experience. So I think it was really essential having you here. And I mean, of course, you're just an incredible artist in your own right. But just like allowing the spirit, I think prior to you coming in, there was this sense of like, of glass stepping, right? Like, okay, like where is the line? Where do we go here? And then like you kind of gave us the permission to do what drag has to do, right? And it has to cross lines effectively. Yeah. And that's it's been just like beautiful having you here. So thank you, Dito. So you've done way more than tell me when to throw my train. And where?
That's very important.
I know it's important.
and now you do it so nicely. I'm always like, oh.
It's the last thing I do. It's the last thing pre-show.
I don't know if you remember this, Dito, but it was your idea to do the Monty Python Terry Gilliam mouths on the post. That was your idea.
That was one of the moments where I was like, this is not my department, but I was like, I have an idea for the video.
Oh, also I believe yours is the mirror.
Oh, that we would use the circle light as a mirror?
Yeah, I think that was you. I think that was you. I think that whole section's my favorite because it's like a bunch of people having a bunch of ideas and we were all like, okay, cool, let's just do this. But
it's really beautiful.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that moment, because we get your face so intimately in that moment, and it's such a like, actually it's like a kind of drag trope to be like, and now the drag queen, and like it's one of my favorite parts of Paris is Burning is the drag queen who's like giving this incredible philosophy as she's like putting on her makeup.
Yes.
So I feel like that moment is really lovely.
And then we throw the stupid like old Harlequino fly Lotsie on that, and then like that's my favorite thing. Oh, I love. But let's move on. Speaking of choreography, what a gift having to choreograph for the box, Katie Rose, which Fernando says it's a gift, by the way. You can agree or disagree.
I think it's one of the greatest gifts.
Well, it's Christmas. How did you generate from home in your own similar closet or ? Such
a good question. So I choreograph at home or wherever I am. and I actually don't use a closet. So something that I found out early on working with Josh is that me working with architecture doesn't actually help, because if I go far enough away that he can see my whole body, I can't see his whole body.
And
then we're just like,
see hers.
and then he can't see me at all. So it's actually much better if I'm here and I'm like, Josh, put your hand on one and then move your head this way. No, move it the other way. We numbered the walls of the closet. We did that pretty early on. Yep. Because I don't know my right from my left, and neither does Josh. So it works out well for both of us. But also then we could be really specific about like, put your shoulder on one, put your hand on 5. And I actually felt like I was able to choreograph much faster because Josh can also help sort of like fill in the blanks. If I was like, oh, I have an idea for getting you to one picture. And then I would be like, oh, and then I want your torso to move over, and he's like, oh, like this, and then his leg has to come up, or like, oh, his arm has to come up. So it's a really fun collaborative process choreographing for this space. It requires me to use my words much more than I ever have to in a room, which is very different and it was quite strange at the beginning, but I also like having to explain the impetus behind the movement, because also it helps him get at the heart, like the nugget of my idea, which is either the steps matter or they don't, as long as he understands sort of the feeling behind it. So yeah, it's great. I really love it.
And then we throw like all the tinsel on the floor, and then we just see how it goes.
We're like, here's the skating rink.
It was a little treacherous tonight. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Dance full out. Don't fuck it up.
Don't fall.
I didn't kick the light onto the floor today, so that was like, for me, a minor victory. So I think the last 2 shows I did kick the light onto the floor. That's my bar. That's it. I mean, I'm trying to see. I feel like we've covered a lot of these. I do.
Yeah.
I think
so.
Again, there's a lot of you here, so if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in.
I have a follow-up question.
Please.
KR, what was the easiest and what was the hardest part to choreograph?
I mean, I always think the hardest parts are the parts that I don't have like an initial sort of, not understanding, but like, oh, this has to be this. Or like, oh, I have 5 bad ideas. Like, let's see which one comes out first. So like, I think I did 5 different versions of one verse of Poverty Talk.
Yeah. Oh, the call.
It was a call. Yeah. There was just one paragraph that I just like could not get. And Heather, you were like so specific about like, I think it feels like this. And I would be like, try this. No, that's wrong. Don't do that. Try some, and I feel really good about where we got. But for me, that was one of the hardest things. To me, it's always story. It's like, if my like, you know, I have to like sort of bypass my brain and like get straight to my heart to come out of my body. And if I can't do that, that to me is like the difficulty. It's never actually I love, you know, I'm a choreographer. I love a good restriction. So I would say that was actually the hardest part. I'm trying to think about what else. Yeah, for me, it's always like the getting going. Because once I'm on a roll, I'm generally sort of fine. Like Undefended, was like just so lovely and just like so emotional to choreograph.
That one was fast and easy, but the call we spent a lot of time on, and we had to do a bunch of different versions.
Yeah, because we also, I think the thing about the benefit of having this collaborative room is that you get a sense, like everyone is sort of on the same, because we're having so many conversations, we're all on the same train and we're all moving in the same direction. But sometimes it's like, how does my piece of that puzzle help make sure that train's still going forward? So a lot of times I mean, I get really hard on myself about that, but a lot of times I'll be like, ooh, that's not right. Like, that's not right. Like, let me keep sitting on this train for a little bit longer and see what comes out that fits with what I know we want.
Well, yeah. I particularly like that verse. Now, I had done a lot of that video design there early on in the process, mostly just being like, hey, you know, Crit had brought in this idea of triptychs and these like unfolding Byzantine boxes. Byzantine is a word all of our critics have picked up on, and I love it.
I love that.
But so, you know, all these beautiful altarpieces that unfold in all these different ways, and, you know, usually in threes. And so we knew that was going to be an idea. And so as Stivo was coming on, I threw together some version of that just to be like, here's what I think is possible for this number. And I remember thinking like, oh yeah, once you finally get all of these pieces, there's kind of a Formation Beyonce vibe. And so KR, you and I were like trying to do that version of the verse.
We made
for a really long time.
It took us a really long time. I would say we spent like 2 hours of rehearsal, which usually we have a little bit of more choreo time in these shows, and we had a little bit less in this one. Yeah. So the fact that we spent 2 hours on a verse of one song that didn't end up making
and then Heather's like, no, this verse is about doubt.
Yeah, and I was like,
and we're like,
shit.
Oh no!
I didn't realize I monkey wrenched it that hard.
No, because it is what it needs to be.
It was about doubt.
But in order to like create very specific, meticulous choreography, it just takes time. And Josh is like one of the best at like picking up choreo and being able to repeat it. But still, it just like took that much time. And we were like, oh, okay, better luck next time. We're gonna get it.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, again, what I love about working with a 2-week schedule is like you get what you get in some cases, and it's like, sure, sometimes you can do that second draft, but like I think for the most part, this is just a lot of like really fun first drafts that happen to speak well to one another.
Yep.
And I think what I love about doing work this way is I think a lot of the ways we're taught to make theater and have been taught to make theater is about second guessing our first impulses, and revising and developing. And sometimes, you know, those first impulses are just great. And sometimes you're wrong and you have to make it about doubt. But that's important, right? That's an essential part of that process. So yeah, anyway, that's my brief.
Like the opposite of workshopping it to death.
Exactly.
It's like, take your first impulse and run.
Yep.
And you learn very quickly. I always say what's right and what's wrong, but you're just like, oh no, that can't happen. I know exactly what needs to happen and we don't have time to build it, but like, can you just try to slap together some version of this, which I know is right, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, like Josh's costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of think that as an example, he just like was like, I have this old dress, I can put some painter's tape on.
No, I didn't put the painter's tape. It's all Heather.
Listen, painter's tape is me. Listen, this started as a nod to Beckett, where the opening scene used to be Josh made the costume out of his bed sheet with painter's tape.
It is my bed sheet. Yes.
But then I cut that first scene entirely.
Well, because we had the sequin dress.
Because we had the sequin dress too.
Yeah.
But for that sequin dress.
Oh, I love it so much.
Katie
Rose.
I was just gonna say, I feel like what Josh wears in the show is actually a perfect example of how everyone in the room worked together. Because Dito, I think that was like your first day with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew painter's tape sorry was going to happen. I think Josh,
somehow.
you had a sheet.
I had a sheet
already.
I just wanted to try it out just to see what it would look like with painter's tape on the sheet.
I don't think you had put the blue on. You just had tied it together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then
you were like, I'm going to keep this up.
And he was wearing his jumpsuit. And then we have this in the behind the scenes. And he's like, I also have this dress, which he actually bought for the show that we did right before this. So he just happened to have this beautiful dress.
Amazing French choreographer Van Kim Tran was not appreciative of this dress. But
the dress was not right for that piece.
It's not right for that piece.
To his credit. But also, like, if you would have worn it in that show, you wouldn't have been able to wear it in this show. Like, you had to buy it for that show, and you had to want to wear it enough to be like, hey, friends, I have this thing that I didn't get to wear.
Well, you know,
Here
sometimes you see a $10 sequin dress at a thrift store, and you go, that's gonna be important at some point.
And it was.
Yeah. And then, you know, Heather was like, we have to put the painter's tape on the sari. And then Crit was like, oh, and you have to maybe we put the painter's tape on the dress too. Yep. And then Dita was like, we can't, he has to like have bare shoulders. Like we can't. And then we had a long conversation on the, yeah. And then we had a long conversation about the underwear, what he should wear underneath.
It's so funny, though, because in some ways we're trying to be really specific to how Mother Teresa wore her, you know, sari. And in other ways, we're ditching it entirely. And there was a lot of conversation about, like, what is the correct way to wear a sari? And that's where a lot of the sari work I found, because I found all of these wonderful YouTube videos of, like, Indian children putting on Mother Teresa style saris for like Halloween costumes or whatever their version is. And so there was a lot of weird talk about accuracy versus like bare shoulders. It's like, where does the drag come in versus where does the authenticity of Mother Teresa come in? And I'm really thrilled with where we ended up. Now, there's a question from Sophie. Do you think your work on these shows in quarantine will affect how you work, what your process is when we're eventually allowed to be in the same room again?
I mean, probably everything changes everything else. Like, quantum theory holds. I will say that I am heartened and bolstered by just this sheer fact that like I could write this in a couple months and like we could do this in 2 weeks and we could all be collectively okay with airing out a really heartfelt first draft and have it be met with such an enthusiastic response. That's information that I'm going to take with me. Because I'm usually a person who does 70, 80 drafts of things. And I did four for this piece, which is like terrifying, but liberating.
I keep saying, first off, like, the remote thing works. It does. It works. It's possible. I hope that carries in some capacity. But it's hard for me to think about going back to a normal room. I mean, in my case, bizarrely. There's something I find so deeply rewarding about the limitations of this closet. That, like, the idea of going onto a bare stage and just being like, okay, you're here for, like, 5 weeks or whatever, feels like, oh, wow, like, how am I ever going to be able to probe this thing, this giant thing? In a way, I feel like we haven't even, like, scratched the surface yet on 8 square feet. So that's... personally, I'm more excited by where this world is going to go. And I don't exactly know where it's going to go. It will find a function. It may be a terrible function. It may end up just being like the commercials for theaters. But which is why it's so exciting to do it right now, because there is no function for this. Digital theater exists simply because we don't have anything else to do. And we're all stuck. But that's why it's a great time to be playing here. Who knows? It will eventually have a function, an identity. I don't know what that's going to be. But for now, it's just wonderful playing here. And now it's almost 10, or it is 10:30 now. It feels like we should probably wrap it up because it's late and we're tired. And but we're just so grateful for all of you who are still around tonight. It was a really exciting last show. I'm really so glad we extended these performances.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Heather, Dito, do you have Katie Rose, of course, but do you have any last thoughts? Anything you want to add? Put a bow on this.
Yeah, guys, just hang in there. Hang in there. I think like the main reason that I got obsessed with this like Mother Teresa's Dark Night of the Soul thing is because she made an impossible and bleak situation seem necessary for growth. And I am taking that with me. I wrote this song as much as a like pep rally to myself as I wrote it as a pep rally to you and from Mother Teresa. So just know that we're all kind of the same right now. So hang in there. That's all.
I don't have any like amazing thoughts, except I was thinking about there's like a trope like in Greece or in Strictly Ballroom where, like the humble girl becomes kind of like slutty beautiful. She even just like takes off her glasses and she's like hot, which is so ridiculous. But I was kind of thinking about like, oh, is this in reverse? It's like, I don't know. I just like this. I like this use of drag. It's sort of like a drag to like find a humility. It's very. It does a weird thing to because there's such an idea of like, oh, there's a the drag is somehow going to like make me the larger version of myself, which it does. It like expands people's presences, but it also to say that it also is like kind of a spiritual practice that then like reveals something. I don't know, the word drag and the word humble is such an interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Those words vibrate so interestingly together, and I don't know. That's why I think this piece is so fascinating.
Well, drag, humble, and humiliation, all of them, those three together.
Yeah.
And thinking about humility, humbleness, humiliations is something I hadn't really thought of before until this piece. And yeah. Katie Rose, final thoughts?
I just want to thank you, Heather and Dito, and everyone else that worked on this show. This piece is really, Heather, this piece is so beautiful and really special. And I think everything that you just said, I mean, everything that you and Dito just said actually is like, it just was quite powerful to work on in this time, especially as the days are getting darker.
No, they're going to get brighter soon. Soon they'll get
brighter.
They're
going to get brighter soon. Yeah. But I just want to thank you, just, me personally, but also on behalf of the world. Thank you for helping make this piece of art come into the world.
Again, echoing that, love to you both. Love to everyone who worked on this piece. Love to all of you who have seen this piece. It will be available for those who totally missed out on tonight. Tomorrow. It'll be around. That being said, we've got some really exciting stuff coming up in January. January 7th, we're opening the Exponential Festival with a brand new something that we're going to figure out soonish. And then on January 11th, we're back with our own programming with a new installment of, well, we're calling it Closet Works. Who knows what it'll be when it actually shows up. But Erin Ortman and Karen Olivo are involved, and that's super exciting. And then after that, we're back every 3 weeks. We're still keeping it on Mondays. And we hope you'll tune in. We hope you'll subscribe. We hope, if you can, to donate to Fractured Atlas. Again, there's this weird match campaign going on right now where they will double what you give us. So do that. So thankful for all of you and to be part of this. Honestly, this is just one of the most exciting things I've ever done in this closet, but also in my life. So thank you. All right, so we'll close it out. I am Joshua William Gelb. This is Theater in Quarantine. Still in the closet. Take those vaccines when you get them. Be well. Stay strong. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night.